So, world order. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to title this particular video, but I do know that it's regarding sex work, the new world order that we're currently in, and the the state of women in sex work. First, I'd like to say that um, right now this is a very bad time to be in sex work. Actually, if you know anything about me, you know I'm an advocate of sex work because I'm someone who engages sex from the aspect of the mind. I'm heavy on theories, concepts, putting a puzzle together, the experience, the underlying meaning. Um, I don't really look at it as a physical situation. I mean, I can even look at it as more coming from a more mechanical angle. But for that reason, and for the way that I process sex, um, I see more use, or I see it from a very wide range than maybe some other people do. I don't believe in any nastiness or vulgarity in sex unless, one, this is the interpretation of it coming from a particular type of mindset. Things are only nasty and vulgar if that's the mindset, if that's the image or idea that you project onto it. Number two, unless it's dealing with a child or, unconsensual sex. Those are the only two when I think negative about sex. But other than that, I think sex is an experience, or it should be. If first and foremost, it should be an experience. I think it should engage all senses. I think that um, it's a lot deeper than the pounding and the moaning, the whole porn aspect. I think I think it has its purpose, but if that's all that you're doing in sex, you're definitely never going to be satisfied. You're definitely not going to know real sex. Because as we all know, or as we should know, as I've stressed many times to people who have spoken to me and who've come across me, the biggest sexual organ is not on our bodies, it's inside of our heads. The brain is the biggest, best sexual organ possible. And I've written about sex. I've partaken in the sex industry um, because I needed this type of experiment. I needed a deeper knowledge. I'm not interested in the sex for sex sake. I'm not interested in um, how big something is. That's kind of not even offensive, but it's small-minded. I look at sex from a totally different aspect. Um, it's all about the underlying for me, and because of that, or because of my outlook on it, I can see a lot of things, and I can see how it's changed and how it's changing. Now, how all of this in regards to sex work, like I've said, this is the worst time for women to be in sex work unless you are going to be a boss, not a performer, but a boss um, of a of your own company. If you're going to be the Steve Hirsch of broadcasting, or maybe having a network, and I mean something high level. I mean something like Red Shoe Diaries. Depending how old you are, you can Google it. There used to be a television show on Showtime called Red Shoe Diaries, erotica. There's a lot of art in sex. You don't see it because it's not taught. Sexuality is usually talked about in regards to religion, in regards to fear, in regards to what you shouldn't do as far as unsafe sex. It's always talked about as far as pregnancies and this sort of thing, but it's not talked about as something, like I said, that engages all the senses, something that lingers, that stays with you long after the act is done. That is the true essence of sex. Engaging with yourself or with another person, engaging all senses, and coming into a more of an energetic or a spiritual harmony with yourself or with the other person. And this can take you to a higher level psychologically. This can take you to a higher level emotionally, energetically. But this, of course, this isn't the sex that we see today. This has an absolutely less than zero to do with the sex that we see today, even though sex is all around us. It's more readily available, but it's a cheap garbage gutter type of sex that is readily available. It's like it's popcorn sex, basically. You know, you can turn on your computer, you can get it. You can go onto a site, you can get it. This is not the essence of sex. This is not the art of sex. This is not erotica. This is not how great it can actually be if you understand. There's such a mental puzzle, a mental art dealing with sex in so many ways, how it engages every part of you. And this is something that majority of people now, especially getting younger and younger, that they just don't know about. And I think that previous generations, depending on who they were, depending on who these types of women were, and usually it's women who know about this being an art. Very young, I would say like a Dita Von Teese. Very old, I would say like a Mae West. Even some of the most scandalous escorts in history were very erotic women, and had this power to have sex with a man even before touching him. You know that. I'll get more into that in another video. But as far as women, because the industry is so oversaturated, and your customer, and you're having new customers every day. Your customers are dissatisfied people. They're looking for sex, but they think they're looking for sex, but what they're looking for is even more than connection. They're looking for an experience, and this is not what you're getting from porn. This is not what you're getting from cam sites. This is something that you have to kind of have. It's an energy, it's a spirit that you kind of have to have, and you transfer this energy to the other person. You understand what I'm saying? So that you're sharing this energy, and sex becomes something of a dance. Like the art of romance. We don't really have that so much anymore unless you go to different cultures, non-Western cultures. You'll pretty much have that. But nowadays, it's, even, online in 5 minutes, within less than 5 minutes, or sometimes the first thing a person says to you is something sexual. So we all know where society is as far as sex. But we don't know, and the sad thing is we don't realize how much we're missing. We're missing everything from sex. We're right now, unfortunately, like I said, the society is so retarded, it's so aggressive, that we're just a few steps from cave people. We're just a few steps from the Neanderthal man and how he used to grunt and have sex with his female counterpart. But in the 80s, and even in the 90s, sex seemed to be more explored. But right now, it's explored on a total carnal level. And everything about energy and spirit and mixing and pleasuring the mind before the body, all of this is gone. And I'm not talking about foreplay. Foreplay still involves the body, but there's different types of foreplay. Like I said, that's probably another video. However, what I wanted to express is that, in this time that we're living in, the Trump era, the New World Order, we need a lot of women to actually leave the sex industry. And like I said, I'm pro-sex work. You can understand the way I'm talking to you. the way I'm putting this information out there. I'm into high-end sex work. I'm into the science of it, the art of it. And if there's no art, no science, there's really no point in doing it. You can do that in an alley. You can do that in behind a stove in somebody's soup kitchen. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the high level that, like again, that engages all senses. And this is just something that we don't have. However, like I said, we have male customers into the industry now who are looking for something, and we have women who really can't supply what these men are asking for. And another thing of it is that we all have these groups of people getting into it for their own reason, which makes sense, but their reasons don't complement each other. You know, if I'm getting into it to learn more about my body, I need a person who can teach me about my body. This is not what's going on. We have people in here who are looking to escape their lives. Their lives are crap, so they want to wank off all day long in place of getting a job, getting a degree, having a goal, setting up a legacy. We have this going on, and for women, we have situations as where women have no self-esteem. They don't like the way they look, but they can get hired. So they're looking for men to validate them. So we have this vicious cycle that's going on in it. And then, like I said, you have men who, you have a lot of men with a lot of issues and a lot of women with a lot of issues, and both are unable to really help each other because their issues are different, because their sexes are different, their needs are different. Biologically, they're set up different. They're not even in sexual hunger at the same time. You know, so what kind of we're so aggressive as far as sex is concerned. You know, because I mean, I can tell you something, and I'm going to be honest. I mean, I'm completely honest on my channel. You know, a real high-end sex worker is envied by women. Is envied by women. I'm talking about a courtesan. They really don't even have that anymore. You know, these are women who are super feminine, strikingly beautiful, speak a few different languages, elegant poise, great conversationalists, well-dressed, well-mannered. These are people who are typically the girlfriends. I hate to say this, but I'm honest. These are typically the type of women who are girlfriends to politicians, to world leaders, to celebrities, to people in power all over the world. These types of women. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm speaking straight up and real with you all. This is really that type of woman. But these type of women now are dying out because of age, or they've aged out of the industry. They're not teaching this to younger women for whatever reason. And so this type of being able to interact, to be able to calm and soothe a man is being lost. But yet, you know, time goes on, life goes on. Men still get married, and you know, they have their wives who aren't fulfilling them, so they need the side relationship, and so they need the mistress to escort. That's another conversation. I can go there with you all, but you all know I know what I'm talking about. You know I know what I'm talking about. However, the best thing that a woman can do in sex work right now is try to be the boss. If women will be the commodity in this industry, if women are the product of this industry, the number one product. Yes, there are men in the sex industry, but not enough if you ask me. And I'll tell you why. Because as women become more independent, more successful, they're going to turn off a lot of men. Why? Because men don't want to compete with women. I'm telling it like it is, like I feel it, and like a lot of men have indirectly told me. So you have these power women, these strong power women who are fulfilled by their careers. they're going to have a tough time in the dating world. They need a male counterpart who can make them feel like a woman. And a lot of times, that other successful man, he's not going to have time for it, and he's going to be looking for a woman, a younger woman. Let's just keep it real. He's going to be looking for a younger woman who can make him feel like a boy again. So, we're at odds. We are at odds. So, there needs to be more men. Have your pick, Abercrombie and Fitch, whatever thing you're into, Kim Woo Bin, Young Day, whatever. This type of man, he can really work well with the woman. And of course, he's of age. We're not talking about any scandalous stuff. But there's a need, a market for that type of woman who gives her intimacy and her emotion to her career. There's a market for that. Now back to women. So, the older courtesan hasn't taught the younger escort. We have an industry that is overrun with young girls. Unfortunately, quiet as is kept, looking for validation. They won't come out and say it, but a lot of, young girls are kind of not sure about what's going on. And even though they'll like to project the image that they do and like to talk a good talk, and they're still kind of looking to relate to men and figure out how they can do it. And, in this respect, it's if you're not approaching it from the right mindset, this is a dangerous walk, especially because a lot of the customers who come into this industry, oftentimes, are a lot smarter than the women who are in the industry. A lot of them, they know how to manipulate, they know how to turn, they know how to get you to bark like a dog for pennies on the dollar. I mean, it's just a lot. So my thing is, if women are going to get into this, if girls are going to get into this as a boss, as an owner, as a CEO, and go old school with it. Go glamorous, go old school courtesan. Make sure the women that, do it in a country that's legal, make sure your women are educated or worldly educated or worldly, polished, refined, like I said, able to speak a few different languages, train them, coif them. These are the women who will make the money. This is what the type of experience men really want in this industry. The backyard skank is in abundance. The ghetto girl's in abundance. The girl next door is in abundance. She's not the girl people want to pay for, but she's the girl that's there. The model is even in abundance. The girl who looks like a model. Women, we're at a time now, you have to bring something more to the table than your looks. And you can still do that in this type of industry. There's just so much that's really not talked about. And like I said, I am for the sex industry, but with older, mature women who know how to relate to the opposite sex, who know the science and the art and skill of conversation in mating before you mate. This is an art. Anyway, this video is too long. Maybe I'll do a part 2, maybe I won't. But I think I've laid enough on the table to be thought about. Thanks for watching. By the way, subscribe.